29th of September. Dates all the same. This row, this row, this row, this row, that row. Just ranks of them.
My grandfather, that was luck, wasn't it? He's not here.
Yeah.
Do you think that you and people today are lesser men for not having lived through this kind of thing?
Well, Dr. Johnson says every man thinks meanly of himself for not having been a soldier. I think it's probably still true.
So, a little bit of you, envisaging this horror, wonders how you might have coped.
Yes, I think everybody, when confronted by this, thinks, would I have done this? Would I have run away that way? Would I have wanted to? Probably yes. I don't know, yes. You ask all those questions. The idea that I would have strode up there in a kilt and lived to liberate a town up the village, I mean, it all seems incredible.
And when you ask yourself those questions, what do you think the answers are?
The answer is one doesn't know. I suspect the worst. Well, I found out a great deal about my Scottish grandfather, my father's father, but I always knew more about my mother's father, another soldier. I knew he'd fought in the Boer War. He was much older, and I have 2 photographs of him as a young man. And actually, when I was at school, I'd done a project on the Boer War, which I still have. I was, I think, 11, and it's 2 volumes, my work on the Boer War. Quite detailed, particularly good maps, if you're a battlefield specialist. So I was obviously pretty interested pretty early.
Though he had ended his life in Jersey, William Beddoes was originally from Lancashire and joined the Royal Lancashire Regiment when he was just 18. So he was one of the first onto the troopships when war broke out in 1899 in faraway South Africa. The British Empire itself, commonly regarded, at least in Britain, as the greatest achievement in human history, seemed at stake. The enemy were the Boers, the descendants of the original Dutch settlers in the Cape. For them, ignorant of the virtues of empire, this was a fight for freedom and independence over what they saw as their land. The recent discovery of vast fields of gold made this land about the most valuable on earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Frank. I'm your tour guide today. Welcome to this lovely tour of the British in Cape Town.
Sounds good to me.
I wanted to see the Parliament buildings. A very interesting person whom you probably see there is Queen Victoria. Just look under the tree.
Oh, there she is, yes.
Oh, yeah. Our City Hall was built in 1901. Can you believe the stone had to come all the way from Bath in England? I don't know how they shipped it.
We had to do one long project in history. I obviously decided I would do the Boer War. I mean, I clearly didn't know quite how large a subject it was, and I must have got terribly engaged.
The war in South Africa, it was about the gold. And you must remember that Britain actually forced the Boers to go to war.
War was not a natural thing to the Boer. There seemed no point to him to die for his country, like the British. He fought to live, for himself and his family. There was no romance in a battlefield, or in a battle for that matter. It was not a war that concerned the vast number of people who lived here.
You would say so, but when you look at it, a lot of black people ended up siding with either 2 parties, and it was never reported.
Yes, I mean, they were co-opted, but it wasn't their war, was it?
No, it wasn't their war, yes.
This brings us to the condition and state of fighting efficiency that the British Army was in. It was described at the time as a crowd of men in uniform. Its ranks came from the unskilled, but not hopelessly so, the labouring class, who were in general poorly educated. And that would have included my grandfather, of course, who was described on his call-up papers as a labourer.
Right in front of us, we got the Nelly. That's the Mount Nelson.
Oh yeah.
You'll find that in the afternoon they serve the afternoon teas, scones and jam, and cream and cheese.
Nowadays I'm rather more ambivalent about the virtues of empire than I was at age 11. I can still see, particularly coming here, what was attractive to a small boy, the dream, the vision, that absurd sort of imperial romance that a place like this embodies. The almost absurd assumption that it would be perfectly reasonable for Britain to rule from Cape to Cairo and indeed everywhere else. Maybe that's what motivated my grandfather. He would have left Britain and the crowds were cheering and the flags were waving and people were singing Rule Britannia, and he came out, everyone being told that democracy must be established here, the Boers were trying to stop that, only the British could actually make this place decently run, and out they came. And then he lands here, and almost immediately was shunted up to Durban and straight into the firing line. And that's the journey that I want to make.
On the 16th of January 1900, William Beddoes and the Royal Lancaster Regiment reached the Tugela River, 900 miles northeast of Cape Town. Their mission, to get over a line of steep Boer-held hills immediately ahead, the highest known as Spion Kop.
Are you ready to take the position? My name is Tonto.
Tonto?
Yeah. Yeah, Tonto.
Right.
Right, you try to get up there. You up here. Big jump. There we are.
Okay, shall we head out? And my grandfather had to walk all the way up. There's a great view of Spion Kop coming up just here.
Absolutely superb.
What does Kop mean?
Kop means hill.
Right.
Spion, spy, so Spy Hill.
The British goal was to relieve the town of Ladysmith, 40 miles to the north, where British forces had been humiliatingly besieged by the Boers for several months. But the truth was General Warren, commanding the operation, had given little or no thought how to break through.
Warren had taken the decision. Now, how was he actually going to get onto this hill? It's held by the enemy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how many are there, doesn't really know what it looks like on top. And he decides that the only way he can actually do it is under the cover of darkness. The going was extremely difficult. And there's a description in the regimental history of the Royal Lancs, and it says, "The night was intensely dark with a gentle drizzle, and as the column advanced, the hillside increased in difficulty at every yard. The long grass, itself an obstacle in the dark, concealed boulders and crevices, over which a way had to be felt with hands of the climbing men, and the advance became a slow scramble."
Go on, go. Nice, well done. Follow.
The operation seemed a total success. Well before dawn, the exhausted British forces had reached the summit and seen off the few Boers dug in to defend it.
Ian, your grandfather's regiment was in this area over here. The ground, as you can see, is incredibly hard and very rocky. So what they did, they just scooped a little bit of soil out and they piled it up, and one can still see it mounded up to some degree here, gathered a few stones, and then they lay down. There's still thick mist around, and they rest. When the mist rose briefly and they realized just exactly how limited the view was, part of the force moved forward from here right to the edge of the hill.
Because from here you can't see over the lip of the hill, so you don't know who's coming.
No. Let's go and have a look and see where he may have been
when they move forward.
That's right.